probably seen that famous king cake cookie for 14 euros that's making everyone drool on social media. I'll show you how to make it at home for a third of the cost, using basic ingredients most of us already have. You roll out 2 puff pastry sheets, and I cut 2 20-centimeter circles. You can use a lid or a plate. If your puff pastry is already round, just leave it. To reuse your puff pastry scraps, you should never roll them into a ball. Instead, you should fold the dough over itself. Like this that way, you won't ruin the layering. I store them in the fridge for later use. So, I'm making my second circle of puff pastry. In this galette des rois, there's no frangipane. It's just chocolate and hazelnut spread. You can use whichever one you like. We put a generous amount in the center, making sure not to go to the edges. Then we'll moisten the edges so the 2 puff pastry sheets stick together well, and I place the second disc of puff pastry. Then we'll gently pinch the edges to seal in the spread. This will prevent it from leaking out during baking and will also help seal the 2 puff pastry sheets together. I'll put it in the freezer while I make the cookie dough. I need 120 grams of softened butter. I let it sit at room temperature for an hour to soften before using it. I add 100 g brown sugar and whisk. After that, I crack an egg. I add a small pinch of salt and a teaspoon of powdered vanilla. I whisk it again. Next, we'll add 180 grams of flour. Set the whisk aside and continue. With a spatula or directly with my hand, I don't forget to add a teaspoon of baking powder, and I continue by hand. It's much more practical. For cookie dough, you don't need to knead it. We just mix to incorporate the flour. Then I add 100 grams of chocolate chips, mix a little, and it's ready. I put my cookie dough between 2 sheets of parchment paper. I flatten it roughly with my hands, and then I roll it out thinly with a rolling pin. I remove the first sheet of parchment paper. Next, I take a pastry ring that's slightly smaller than the one I used to cut the puff pastry. I took one that's 18 centimeters. I cut out my small cookie, cover it with parchment paper, and also put it in the freezer. I save the puff pastry for the egg wash. I beat an egg and remove just a bit of the white, so there's a lot more yolk than white. With the back of a knife, I recreate the same pattern as on the original cookie galette. Honestly, it's kind of pointless, because the galette will be covered with cookies, so don't tire yourself out. Make small holes to create a chimney to let the air escape. During baking, we put it in the oven for the first time at 200°C with convection heat for 30 minutes. Then I take my cookie and gently place it on my galette of kings. I slightly lower the oven temperature to 190 degrees, still with convection heat, and bake for 10 to 12 minutes galette des rois and cookies. You really had to think of it. It's the perfect combo. I couldn't even wait. I was too eager to taste it. As soon as it came out of the oven, I hurried to cut a small piece and taste it. So, I clearly haven't tasted the original. But after making it at home and tasting it, I assure you that this cookie galette definitely deserves all its success. It's just incredible. It's so delicious, so indulgent. You absolutely have to try the recipe. I hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon.